With Father's Day approaching this weekend, I'd like to talk about some things recorded in Proverbs chapter 4 relating to fathers and their children. But to remind us of the purpose of this book in the Old Testament, here's the way it begins in chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the word means what is puzzling. The words of the wise, understanding the words of the wise, and their riddles. The whole purpose of the book of Proverbs. How do we live in ways that are wise? So in chapter 4 of Proverbs, beginning in verse 1, hear, my children, the instruction of a father, and give attention to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine, and do not forsake my law. When I was my father's son, tender and the only one in the sight of my mother, he also taught me, and said to me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commands, and live. And it is not a statement from David to Solomon where David is suggesting, follow everything that I've done because I've made some mistakes. But the principles upon which I have endeavored to live my life are principles that you need to follow. And that's what Solomon passes on in this particular chapter. So what's involved in the instructions of a father to his children in Proverbs chapter 4? Verses 1 through 4, I want you to remember. Remember things that you've heard me talk about. Remember things that I have tried to instill within you. I want you to learn. I want you to remember. I want you to give attention to those things. I want you to be able to analyze those principles. And then after that kind of introduction where he reflects briefly upon instruction from his father, he says in verse 5, get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. The very first part of it's like you need to acquire the facts, get wisdom. But the second part of it, you need to embrace what you know with an understanding heart. You need to be able to analyze. You need to be able to dissect statements that are made, be able to look at different points of view and find any kind of flaw that may exist. Here's a verse again. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. And verse number 6, it's not just the acquisition of knowledge. It's not just the acquiring of wisdom or understanding, but in a deep appreciation for it. You embrace it. In fact, in verse number 6, do not forsake her, wisdom, and she will preserve you. Love her, love wisdom, and wisdom will keep you. And it's not something that's just kind of a passing fancy. It's something that's a part of your makeup. It's who you are. There's a deep appreciation for learning the facts and analyzing things in a logical, consistent, rational way. That is sorely missing in our culture. In verse number 7, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, but in all you're getting, get understanding. It's something that he's emphasizing once again. It's as though he's saying the application is not just that you know the facts. You've got to know the facts. You can't pick and choose what those facts may be. You need to accept all of those facts, but you need to be able to analyze them in a very logical way and know how to apply them. In verse number 8, the prominent role of wisdom and understanding. Exalt her and she will promote you. She'll bring you honor when you embrace her. Exalt that principle within your life. Not just feeling, but fact. Not just a way that I feel, not the examination of my feelings, but the examination of the details at hand. Even if there's something with which I disagree, that points out that my feelings may have some flaws in them. I need to embrace the facts. In fact, that kind of statement, exalt her, she'll promote you, verse number 9 talks about the way that you'll be exalted because of the way you use wisdom and understanding. Verse number 10 and verse 11, it kind of goes back to what is stated earlier. Hear, my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of your life will be many. I've taught you in the way of wisdom. I've led you in the correct paths. What are the benefits? Verse 12 and verse 13. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered. When you run, you will not stumble. Take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep that instruction, for she is your life. We are seeing in our culture the results of individuals who have been promoted as professors of higher learning. They've been indoctrinating the younger generation, not with fact, not with the ability to analyze, but with an agenda that's really based on emotion that is not consistent when you start looking at the way that they have argued certain things. It's inconsistent, it's irrational, it's illogical, it is not wisdom, and it is not knowledge, because knowledge actually would demand a different approach. Wisdom, if I'm not actually looking at all the facts, if I don't have the knowledge of all those facts, wisdom is not present no matter how hard I wish it to be. So down into verse 14 through 17, the negative side of that, if I'm not looking at the facts, if I'm not analyzing details. Do not enter the path of the wicked, nor walk in the way of evil. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make somebody fall. They eat the bread of wickedness, drink the wine of violence. Well, I can't actually debate an issue. I'll just turn to violence. You see that all over our country. Why is violence something that happens? Because people cannot sustain the point of view they have embraced. It does not hold up to scrutiny. Back to the statement in verse 18 and 19. It's kind of a contrast. The path of the just is like a shining light that shines ever brighter into the perfect day. Contrast to that, verse 19, the way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not even know what makes them stumble. And after that kind of summary contrast, beginning in verse 20 down through verse 27, the contrast is emphasized again in a little bit of greater detail, but still room for adding more detail to it as you analyze it. Give attention to my words, incline your ear to my sayings, do not let them depart from your eyes, keep them in the midst of your heart. For they are life to those who find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight ahead, and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet, and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Remove your foot from evil. Do not take a detour from the truth. And we live in a culture where people say there is no truth. Isn't that amazing? No wonder we have the kind of problems and issues that exist in this 21st century. Humanity's taken a back step away from knowledge, away from understanding, away from wisdom, and embraced things that make no sense. Interesting chapter. Fathers, grandfathers, have a great Father's Day. Please stay in God's Word. Be safe. We'll talk again soon.